YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. We're going back to Mars and we are looking at Gale Crater yet again. And today is cool because we finally got some really good high-res images of Gale Crater showing huge distances between the rover and the edge of Gale Crater here, which is about 20 or 50. Well, I think it must be around, hang on a minute, about 30 kilometers or something away, or 20 something miles, don't know exactly. It does say down here it's got all the measurements and stuff like that. I haven't read through all this. I thought I'd let you have a look through because there's some little maps here and it gives you relative sizes of stuff, and you can just click on these. Links will be below as usual, as I always do. So there's this image here, which is really cool, and you've got little annotated versions of it there, which you can download. But the main image I was looking at was this one, which is cool. This is a nice big panoramic. Now this looks all the way around the crater from the viewpoint of where the rover is at the moment. And there's also some little map things going on here, and this is a really high quality image. Now, unfortunately, it's only 72 pixels per inch, this image, but it is a very large image. Perhaps they thought if it was 200 pixels per inch, it would be too big for people to download. I don't know, but it's not as detailed as it ought to be, really. Ones in the past have always been 200 pixels per inch. This is only about 72, so it's good, but it's not brilliant. It's not a full res image. It's been downgraded slightly, but it's been taken from the original photos before they were downgraded, so it's relatively good, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm going to crack on with this. It's a little bit complex here because there's another image here. Now, I've been looking at this for a while now. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, if you've been following the images from the rover, but they've taken, I can't tell you how many they've taken of this particular spot in the last few months. Neville T will back me up on this, and a few of you, few others of you would have noticed this. Almost every other set of images, or every third set of images that we've had in the last few months, have shown this particular spot on the edge of the crater, which is near the high point. Okay, so let's go to the folders, because this is I'm trying to do this without getting too overcomplicated with it. This is one of the images you can get, which is pretty nice. Let's zoom into that. You've got the mountains in the background. You've got quite good detail until, of course, you zoom in, and it does go a little bit fuzzy if you go too close, but that's always the case. But yeah, this is only 72 dpi, so it's not full resolution, but it's pretty clear because they haven't downgraded it too much, and you've got a good sort of idea of these buttes here, lines and lines of buttes along the bottom of the lake bed here, with the blue sand, which looks a bit like water initially, but it's not. Yeah, so that was cool, but there's nothing really that amazing to see in here. But it just gives you a good idea of the topography, and you've got the edge of the crater up here, and you've got these smaller craters further back. But of course you can download the ones with the maps on and stuff like that and have a proper look. But what I was interested in was really this image. Now, it might be better to upload the JPEG because it's a large image. I'll show you the big pano. I'll give you a quick overview of it. It starts over here, and then you've got the mountains in the background. You've got really one of the best shots I've seen so far of this crater. I can't remember the name of it now. I should have looked that up before I started the video. But yes, there's some interesting stuff around here, which I'll show you in a minute. But it's too far away to really say for sure. And we got the mountains in the background going all the way along. We've got another sort of crater area here with a small kind of depression, and there's what looks like an old river flow coming down here. Okay, I mean, you can just look at this yourself. I'm not going to show you everything on here now. there's not a lot of detail to be seen in the background because it's too far away. Here's the riverbed, the main outflow coming down here, which is really nice. And it's just cool to see it nice and clear for once, because we don't often get these big panoramics from NASA. We usually have to rely on Level T to make them for us, and he does a great job. In fact, often his are better and more detailed. So I'll let you look through that. But what I was mainly concerned about really was what's in the foreground here. Now, I've also been following this mound for quite some time, because this has been appearing in lots of images over the last few months also. But in the sort of downgraded images that we normally get, the browse images, and I thought that it's a bit odd because it's got a completely flat top on it and it's quite symmetrical, and I thought, well, maybe it is something, maybe it's not. But finally we got a decent sort of close-up of it here. Even though it's too dark, they've darkened it too much. I think what it is, they've applied contrast to the whole image, and because you've got a very light background here, the foregrounds come out quite dark, so you can't see any detail here, and you've got a perfectly flat butte here with a nice top to it. Funny how a lot of them seem to have perfectly flat tops to them. Very odd indeed. And so yeah, I'll show you a clip of that, because I've been looking at it for ages and it's been teasing me, and I thought there's something odd about this mound, because even in some of the low grade images you can see that it's an odd shape, and there are some odd shapes in it. So I'll quickly show you. Here's the raw clip. Really dark. You've got to really brighten the hell out of this, like I've done here. Now, even when as soon as you brighten it up, you think, hang on a minute, what's this? You've got a circular object here, and you've got I don't know if you can see this, because you've got to kind of squint a bit. But when you start adding contrast to this, you'll start to see that there's a circular structure here, and some linear structures here, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't really know what it is, but it's kind of hinting that this mound may not just be a pile of sand. It is actually there's some kind of structure underneath this pile of sand here, as is often the case. And here I've darkened it, the contrast again, pushed the contrast, the darkness down and the brightness up, and what that does is it brings out some of these darker parts here, okay? And you can see this weird round thing here, like a strange structure. Now I don't know what this is. Could it be an entrance to this thing? Could this actually be a burial dolmen or some kind of entrance to a bunker or building, an underground structure? Could there have been many structures along here, like I've suggested, and we're just seeing the covered up remains of it, like I showed in the previous video of the sort of bunker structures and pyramids and stuff. A lot of them buried, and I actually think that some of this stuff may have been buried for millions of years, or at least thousands, and the wind has just slowly eroded away some of the strata and sand that's on top of it, and it's starting to uncover some of these details. I don't know what this is, but it does kind of look very odd. You've got this circular part here with a darker bit here, and you've got these linear structures which are kind of half buried here. And of course, as I've said many times before, the sand is not solid. You know, the sand is semi-transparent, and when you play with the contrast with sand, you can see shapes of things underneath it. This is the beauty of it. If you get your contrast settings right, and you don't have to be an expert to do this. You really, all you got to do with it is play with it until stuff pops out and you can see it for yourself. Okay, so that was pretty cool. Then we have this this other thing here. Now I don't know. I've rotated this thing. It's so dark. I mean, they've destroyed a lot of the detail by darkening it too much. And when you brighten it, it kind of looks weird. To me, that looks odd. Why would there be a natural ridge with a straight, almost perfectly straight part to it there like that? And it's got these sort of diagonals coming out. But unfortunately, it's not enough. There's not enough there to pull out. So not sure about that one, but it's odd. That looks very odd to me. There's lots of these in the area, and some of them have pipes on top of them and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not really sure about that, but there's this, of course, the crater. I will find the name of this and I'll put it in the video. There's the raw clip. Now, of course, they've already enhanced the image slightly by colour correcting it or removing the orange filter. But it's pretty clear. You've got to kind of squint and you've got to let your eyes adjust. And in the raw clip, like I've got here, you can see there looks to be some kind of structures along here in front of it. And on the edge, just here, there's some kind of dome. And there's another structure here. I know that looks vague, but when I show you the enhancement that I've got here, I've really brightened it up. You'll see them. Let's start again over here. There's something interesting going on here in front of it. And when you go along the front edge, or the near edge I should say, you can see the dome. Now, I actually spotted this years ago in one of the images taken years back, but because the quality of the image was too poor, I didn't bother with it. And I thought, eventually we're going to get a better quality image of this crater. Eventually, they will release something in maybe years, you know. And I patiently have been waiting. But of course, they haven't zoomed in. They've just taken a sort of general panoramic for the whole area. So what would be great is if we had a close-up of this in the TIFF format, high quality kind of panoramic, like this, but zoomed right in. And then we'd be able to determine whether that is actually a dome or just a random structure, and whether this thing here is actually another dome or random structure or intelligent. Because I do think a lot of these things are intelligent buildings that are ruins, and it's just not quite enough detail here to say either way. But hopefully in the coming months or years we may get another close-up of this, and the camera will zoom right in and we'll get to see what these are. Who knows? So that was cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking crater anyway. I mean, this is miles across, this thing. And I don't know how deep it is. I think it goes right down. I think it might be one of the deepest points in Gale Crater, and there may even be water, or at least some of the time there may be water in the bottom of this crater, because there are geothermal sort of vents in Gale Crater. There's a lot of geothermal activity. If you look at the infrared data, which I have, the infrared satellite images do show that in some parts there are very hot points in this crater. Because it's very low down, it's about three miles down, but this is even lower still than that. So there could be liquid water down here some of the time when it's warm enough. Or a hot spring perhaps, who knows. I mean, I do find it rather odd that sometimes when you look at some of the pictures of Gale Crater, it looks really misty, as if there's steam floating across. And it may be from some kind of geothermal activity, which I've been a proposer of for years now, but you know, no one else has really sort of delved into it. So some cool images there. Links will be below as usual. There's some good panoramic stuff here that you can get either the JPEG or the TIFF. The TIFF is not massive, but it's large. But the JPEG's pretty good, so you know, even that's good. It's not bad at all. But going back to this image, now I'm not going to scroll through all the images and show you how many times they've taken photos of this, but they have. If you go on Midnight Planets, like I've gone up here, let's go on Midnight Planets, right? I'll give you a link to this, the main page. Now you can just scroll down and you'll see that image time and time again. Let's go to the first one. The first one will be just down here somewhere. Oh god, where is it? There it is. Okay, just here, and there's another one there. Now if you keep on scrolling down, you're going to see those same couple of shots, variations of, probably dozens and dozens of times. I'm not going to do it now because it'll waste time, but I do assure you that is the case. Okay, I'm going to shut that now because that takes up too much graphic memory. So yeah, they've literally taken probably 50 or 60 shots of this one point. Now why would they do that? What is it on that ridgeline or in the background on the edge of the crater that they are so interested in? And I can't really figure it out. Now of course, this is a browse image, so the quality isn't great, but it's not terrible. Here's the raw clip, and I've been looking at this a lot, and I keep looking at it and thinking, why would they keep taking photographs of this area? What is it? And all I can say is, there seems to be a structure here, but there's no real detail to see. And you've got these kind of mounds and hills here, and then you've got the very edge of the crater and a steep escarpment and cliff edge here going right up to this rather odd looking structure here, which kind of stands out. And then you've got some more hills here, and you've got another structure up here. But it's so far away, you can't really say either way what it is. So I thought it can't be that, because we're not zoomed in far enough to actually see anything. So I enhanced it. And here we go. And all I've done here is I've enlarged it and increased the contrast, and it goes bright green. Look at the colour of this. The picture started to break up here because I've increased the contrast. But that's what happens when you have shadow. When they downgrade the images, it's the shadows that get most information removed, because that's deemed to be less important. So the shadows often lose the most information, and often the shadows are what we want to see, because that's where the structures can be seen. It's in the shadows, or the shapes of the structures can be seen from the shadows, like we got here. But you can't really tell. I wonder whether it's the greenery that they're interested in. Now, I did do a video years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think back in 2013 or maybe 14, showing what I thought was green grass on the edge of Gale Crater. And I wonder whether that's it. I wonder whether this is grass or moss or some kind of growth. Because, I mean, I can prove this to you now. I'll get the raw image. I'll very quickly do this, because this won't take long. Get the raw image. I won't bother enlarging it. All I'll do is I'll colour correct it. Hang on. Adjust. Automatic colour balance. Okay, let's go to daylight, sunlight, which is about there. This is what I normally do. Now, what this does, this removes the orange filter. Doesn't change it much. I don't overdo it with these images. Now, even when you don't have that correction on there, it's green. Now, I am partially colourblind, so do apologise for that, but it's kind of a browny green colour. But when you colour correct it, it goes kind of green. I mean, what's going on there? Is this? I mean, I know these are RGB images, and I know they're low quality, and the colour is always been iffy with these. Right, let's go dark. Let's darken it right up. There we go. Bam. All I've done is darken it and increase the contrast at the same time now by 25%. And there we have it. Is that grass? Or is this what they've been staring at for the last few months on the edge of Gale Crater? So, you know, who knows? Now, it may be the way that the images are put together, and it may be something to do with the RGB format. If you're a photographic expert and know anything about that, I know some of you are out there, please leave a comment, because I'm not an expert in the way that happens with JPEGs and how the actual colour information is put together. I know how to deal with details, but often I work with black and white images, you know. So there we are. So that was weird. You can download that and try that yourself. That's a really easy exercise you can try. Just colour correct it a little bit, and then up the contrast, and you will get the same results. It looks like grass, and it does hint that there's something going on here, because why else would they keep taking photos of the very same spot? Maybe they've spotted something up here. Maybe this structure is something odd, and they're trying to work out what it is. But there's not enough information in the image to actually say what it is. It's too far away. There's another thing over here. But these could just be natural, and it could just be a landslip or something up there, but not too sure about that. Don't really know what to make of it. It may just be the fact that these images are quite low quality, and the filter they've used on it has probably pushed the greens some more than they should have done. I don't know. I don't know what's quite going on there. And these are color corrected. These aren't color corrected. These are supposedly raw images, but they're not raw. They've been downgraded, but the actual color is that way because of the orange filter. Mars is not that color. It's obvious they are using the orange filter, because even when you see close-up images of stuff on the ground, like we have here, they're also that orange color. Now, it's not possible for there to be enough orange interference between the camera and something right in front of it, like this. Okay? That's still got an orange hue to it. And there's no way that something only a few feet away would be that orange unless there was an orange filter on the camera or in the images. If there was loads of orange dust in the air, right, there's no way it would make any difference if you just put your hand out in front of your face. But you would see it if there was a building or say a mountain structure miles away. You would see an orange kind of haze, perhaps. So this proves that they're using an orange filter. In fact, if you look at some of the raw images, I don't know if there's any examples of that here. Let's go to the raw images here. You often see in the thumbnails, you see the orange plate. Now, each image is made up of different color plates. But yeah, what you often get is you get the red, the blue, and the green, and then an orange instead of RGB. So it's RGBO. Now they're not here because it's been removed. But what they do is they compile the color images together to make the actual color image. You get the different color plates. This is how these images are kind of compiled. And I often think they don't actually line them up very well, and they often look very out of focus and blurred because they're not properly overlaid when they put the plates together. They should be a bit more careful with it, but I'm pretty sure that when they build these images up out of the color plates, they don't line them up very well, and it all kind of looks a bit kind of soft focus. And so there we have it. I'll see if I can find an example, but what they tend to do is they put these thumbnails up, and then you come back a couple of days later and they're gone, and they've got they've got the actual color, the full color images up, like these. And but often you get a red, a green, and a blue, and then an orange. Well, why is there an orange plate in there? Well, that's because they're using an orange filter. Now, this is supposedly used for gaining infrared information from what they're photographing. Now, I actually think that's complete BS. I actually think it's purely there to censor the images and remove any greenery that might be up in the background, like I showed you earlier. Because orange is a perfect colour to cover that green kind of grass colour in the distance. I may be wrong. I mean, if you know any better, I would like to hear. I really would like to hear, because this has been bugging me for years. So that was pretty much it for this one. I will come back to this image in a day or two, because this one actually made the press, and there are some interesting structures here. In fact, I may as well cover it now whilst we're here, because this is a pretty interesting image. Let's go a bit closer, because there are these finger-like structures now. In the newspapers, let me see if I can find it very quickly. Here's a raw image. When you zoom in, you've got these rather strange structures here, and what looks like a finger. I'm not saying it is a finger, but it looks like one, broken off with a fingernail there. So even in the raw image, you can see there's something interesting going on here, and there's some more over here. So I'll quickly show the enhancements. We don't want to take too long here. This has already been going on for too long. I'll show you a close-up of that. There's the raw clip. And there we have the enhanced image. Finger here, and what looks to me like molten lead or something similar, like pipes, lead piping or something similar, that have melted or been squashed. They're all the sort of the structures are all kind of the same thickness, width I should say, here as it comes around. This is twisted here. And it kind of helps actually if you look at it from this point of view. Here we are. You can see this is broken off. Now, if this was a fossil, right, would it have a structure sticking out this way? And would it have a twisted part coming up like that, and then the end snapped off? So this expert guy, who claims to be an expert scientist, has said these might be fossils. He could be right, but would a fossil kind of be twisted up like that and then broken off and snapped? I don't think so. It could be. I mean, but I really don't think so. And this kind of joint there, and then this joins to that, and that's kind of it's kind of melted or vitrified almost, and it looks to me like some kind of structure or piping that's melted. Now, whether it's lead or some other kind of metal, I couldn't tell you, but it looks quite reflective here where it's broken, just there. Let's zoom into that. I've sharpened it a little bit just so it kind of shines a little bit. Okay, there we are. All right. So that's my take on that. Let's also look at this part, which was further over. Now, if this was a fossil, would it have a joint there? And then come round like that? And it seems to be hollow here, where it's split open. I wonder whether these were pipes that have actually melted. Not large pipes, but quite small pipes. These are really quite small. They only look big because it's close up. There's a joint there. Let's look at the enhancement of that quickly. There we are. You'll see the joint now. If that was a fossil, would it join like that and then come round like that? I really don't think so. This to me looks like some kind of intelligent metalwork that may have been part of something. And then let's see the overall thing that from there. That's pretty cool. Let's go a bit smaller. There we are. That to me, that looks like a letter F there, and then you've got another letter there. I'm not saying they're letters, but it looks like some kind of intelligent work here that is kind of very ancient, melted, solidified in probably clay. This was at the bottom of the lake, obviously, at some point. So this has been kind of covered in sediment and then solidified and hardened over thousands of years, only to be spotted by the rover with a finger at the top here. I mean, that's just insane. I mean, what the hell is that? It's not the only finger that's been found on Mars. Others have been found. But is it a finger, or is it just a structure that kind of looks like one? Could it be off a statue? Probably not. Could it actually be a finger? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But there we have it. That's my take on it. I don't think these are fossils at all. I think this is metalwork that's been shaped and then wrecked and then melted and then fossilized to the edge of some mud here that then dried out and solidified over thousands of years. And then obviously some of it's broken off. You've got this snapped part here. I don't really think a fossil would do that. Not any fossil I've ever seen. Doesn't make sense to me. And these things look jointed, like we have here. There we are. So there's that. Let's see the overall image again. This is a slightly different one. They took multiple images of this, so they're obviously interested in it. And you can see it's a bit hard to make out because of the angle. You've really got to turn it round, but it does kind of make interesting viewing. I don't know exactly how big these are. These are small. These are probably only millimeters across and a few inches long. Really, really small. It looks big because we're really up close, but these are small. So if it's piping, it's very fine piping. It could be some kind of wiring, or it could have been some kind of metal frame or something. I don't know. I really don't know. But to me, this doesn't look like some kind of fossilized creature. This looks unnatural, and maybe a sign of intelligent structures that have been damaged in the past. So there we go. I'll call it a day now because this has gone way longer than I expected. I do apologise about that, but I did have a phone call from my mother halfway through that video, and I'm obviously going to have to edit the hell out of it. So apologies for that. I hope it hasn't gone out of sync. because that often happens. Links will be below for all these things. Check out the big pano images here, awesome. If you haven't checked it out before, check out my Facebook group, ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine. Free to join, troll-free and hassle-free site. There's not that. There's only about just over 900 of us, but it's not numbers that count. It's quality that counts. Okay, we don't have too much spam and crap on this site, like a lot of pages do seem to have now. I've kept that down to a minimum. Okay, so check that out. There will be links to all this stuff and some of these articles you can read up on as well. So it's a bit of a sort of general update here about what I've been looking at and what's been going on in the press. So that, I mean, there's dozens of articles like this saying that these could be fossils. I think this is part of a sort of soft disclosure kind of thing that we're getting. There's no way the press would have gone with this story unless they've been green lighted by someone higher up in the at NASA or something. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.